So say what you will about Ian Murphy, but he was serious enough about running in the 26th Congressional District to actually come onto this show. He did that back in March, the very same week that he decided to pursue the Green Party line. Our exchange was a little awkward, to say the least, but at least he was willing to do it, and that is more than I can say for two of his opponents, Republican Assemblywoman Jane Corwin and independent contender Jack Davis, who have so far refused to sit down with me despite repeated questions from my staff and myself. By contrast, the Democratic candidate, Erie County Clerk Kathy Hochul, has been gracious enough to make her second Capitol Tonight appearance this evening to give us an update on her campaign. Kathy, thanks for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
It is good to see you. And I wonder, as I mentioned, your opponents will not come on the show so far. Of course, there's about a month left. I just wonder if you've got any thoughts as to why they are so reluctant to appear on Capitol Tonight.
Well, I'd be speculate on that, Liz, but it may have something to do with their support for a budget which isn't very popular. Maybe they don't want to discuss support for the Republican budget, which I would understand if I was in their shoes, but you'd have to ask them.
Well, actually, Jack Davis was pretty outspoken in terms of his opposition to certain aspects of that budget, I think, and specifically when it has to do with trade deals and also entitlement programs like Medicare. However, Assemblywoman Corwin, after much sort of criticism from Democrats, finally took a position. She said she would have, in fact, have voted for that budget, and you say you would have voted no. Is that right?
Absolutely not. That is correct.
For that, and also for the budget, of course, there were no Democratic votes for Congressman Paul Ryan's proposal for 2012. However, there is a lot of talk in Washington right now about raising the debt ceiling. I'm curious how you would vote if, in fact, it came to that.
Well, let's get back to the budget first, Liz. I think that's a very telling contrast between myself and certainly my Republican opponent. I would never support a proposal that decimates Medicare and raises taxes on the individuals that it does, as proposed. I will not support a tax increase on small businesses or the middle class. So I've got a real problem with some of the proposals that my opponent is supporting. The debt ceiling limit that's looming. It's about to, we're probably going to hit that sometime in mid-May. It's a very important issue, but I would hope that we can support it in a clean way. We need some deficit reduction, of course, but I don't want to see us come down to the brink the way we did 2 weeks ago today when all sorts of riders were put on a bill that almost shut down our government. Again, that's something that a difference between myself and my Republican opponent. She would not say she would be opposed to that until she was pressed, and in fact she would have supported it. So our position all along has been there are issues that are very important that need to be dealt with, but I want to make sure that Congress does not put extraneous matters on there, such as Planned Parenthood, such as issues related to enforcement of the Clean Air Act. So I hope that won't happen when we get down to the discussion, the important discussion on the debt ceiling limit, because we cannot have the concerns that are being expressed by Wall Street. That's going to shake the confidence of our investors, both here and abroad. So we cannot let it come down to the final hours the way the last vote did.
Okay, so the Democrats, what you're suggesting then, the Democrats have said, okay, we'll support what's known as a clean bill. That's what you were just saying, a clean bill to raise the debt ceiling, while the Republicans say we can't raise the debt ceiling, and in fact we need to cut further. I mean, were you satisfied with the budget that was passed, the stopgap budget that actually did cut about $58 billion through the end of September, but, the Republicans wanted to cut $100 billion, and would you have actually voted, you say you would have voted yes, were you satisfied with the degree of the cuts that were made?
There were significant cuts that were made. I mean, I was concerned about the Republican proposals, which would have cut medical research and innovative research for small businesses to create new jobs. So those are my concerns. They are willing to eviscerate those programs, which I find very important. So I was satisfied with the compromise that came forward that kept us funding through the government through September. We'll have to revisit these issues again, but my sincere hope is that we don't come down to the brink again next fall when I'm a member of Congress. I will work with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and really look at all proposals that are on the table to make sure that we don't ever put the citizens of this country in peril, concerned about whether or not they're going to get checks from the military families or veterans checks and student loans. There are a lot of issues, a lot of important programs that were really hanging in the balance 2 weeks ago today, and we never should allow that to happen in this country. So we need to be more thoughtful. We know the deadlines are coming. We need to get all the issues on the table and work toward a deficit reduction plan that works but does not eviscerate key programs that our people rely on.
There's some disagreement in the Democratic Party when it comes to programs like Medicare. There are some people who say don't touch it at all. There's some people who, for example, Congressman Anthony Weiner at one point said that everyone should have it, Medicare for all. Then there are others, including the president, who really was very strong in his recent speech on reducing the nation's debt, about being committed to having Medicare, but then also recognizing that there needs to be some reforms because otherwise it could be financially in trouble. Where do you come down? Would you agree that there needs to be some cuts to Medicare?
There need to be reforms, and there's different ways of looking at the way we control our costs with prescription drugs and other services provided. But basically, here's where I draw the line in the sand. We will not decimate a program such as Medicare that helps 48 million Americans get services they need. I won't touch it. It's been a contract that we've had with our seniors since 1965, and I'm not prepared to ever support a proposal that would destroy that program. Vouchers will not work. It's going to increase costs for seniors anywhere from $6,400 to $7,000 a year. Just last night I was meeting with seniors in Batavia. I went into a senior home to talk to them about this. These people are terrified. And I think it's wrong that the Republicans in Congress are willing to scare seniors into thinking that they now have to fend for themselves with the insurance companies. And which senior does not have a pre-existing condition? Now they're going to be out there with their own ailments, whether they have diabetes, whether they're on dialysis. And now we're going to say, here's your check for $8,000, good luck. I won't have that. So this is where there's a huge difference between myself and my opponent as well on the merits of changing Medicare. Now, are there ways to find reforms, cut costs? Yes, I will support those, but I will not destroy the basic premise, the contract we have with our seniors.
So, you know, we're actually coming down to the wire at this point where we've got 1 month left almost in this campaign, the special elections on the 24th. The fundraising has been surprising, actually. You raised more than was expected. It was $350,000. Have you heard from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee yet? Are they going to be investing in this race?
What's most important to me is the fact that there's over 500 individuals, the majority of which have donated under $250 to my campaign to show that I have strong grassroots support here. Certainly if other parties, other parts of the country are willing to help me, I'll take the assistance. I can't self-fund this. I can't buy this election. That's a contract between myself and my opponents, but it's not hurting me. I think I have good support up here in the district where it matters. If people in Washington want to help or other parts, I certainly will take all the help I can get. But I'm not waiting. I'm moving forward. We've got strong issues on our side and the support I need. So you're correct. It's over in a little over a month, and I feel very confident about the outcome.
Do you think in the end actually it could help you? And I know it seems a little bit counterintuitive, but you know this is a Republican-dominated district. You seem to be independent, at least from the DCCC for now. And I noticed, for example, in your most recent ad, you speak specifically about taking the fight regarding toll removal on the thruway to leaders from, quote, both parties in Albany, and you don't mention the fact or anything about party affiliation. I mean, are you trying to be as pragmatic as possible here, and you don't want to mention that you're a Democrat?
No, I don't think I'm trying to be. I think that's just my reputation in this area. I mean, I've received 80% of the vote as county clerk. That means a lot of Republicans and conservatives, independents, and Democrats voted for me. So I already have that crossover appeal. My reputation as a fighter. I'll take on governors of my own party. If you look at my record, plans that came forward from David Patterson, for example, to have mandatory license plates, I took that issue on. So I think that's my hallmark. And I'll go to Washington as a fighter. If there are merits on a Republican side of the plan, I'll look at it. If Democrats have a better idea, I'll look at it. So that's just how I've always conducted myself. That's not new to this campaign. That's a streak of independence that I think the people respect. So again, if people in Washington want to help, that's great, but we'll win this election regardless.
And before I let you go, I know you're probably getting sick of this one, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are you ready to rule out once and for all a county executive run if, in fact, this doesn't work out for you?
I'm going to Congress in a little over a month, so that's I'm very excited about that opportunity to serve at a new level.
So that's not a yes or a no exactly, actually.
That's pretty close to. I expect to win, and I think there's other people that are lining up for county executive, and I'm just fine with that outcome.
Very good. Okay, Kathy Hochul, I want to thank you very much for making time for us. It's good to see you. Have a great night.
Thank you, Liz. Bye-bye.